Well, welcome into Chicagoland. This one you might be catching a little after the fact, not necessarily live. If you're unaware, YouTube is down, potentially a DDoS attack, or somebody just claiming to DDoS it. But we're here, week number 4, Tobacco Road Sim Racing League. Qualifying just finishing up. I'm Rob Campbell. In the booth with me is Brian Zinn. Zinn, we head to Chicagoland this week. A little change from a couple of tracks we've been to the last few weeks.
Yeah, and it's a track that is going to feature on the real life NASCAR schedule next year, replacing the Chicago Street Circuit after 3 years. So it's one of my personal favorites, but yeah, different sort of racing that we can see tonight.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Only 12 cars on the grid. As I was checking in Discord earlier when Chris Topping's League admin was trying to find out where everybody was. Looks like a number of drivers don't own Chicagoland. I guess kind of has just been out of the rotation for that long, Zinn.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the last time I raced an official race at Chicagoland. I'm always bummed that we don't go here more often, but we're here tonight. We'll see how these guys get along.
Let's take a look at the grid. James Johnson going to take top spot in qualifying, just ahead of Brad Harris. James McRae in 3rd with Travis Everett in 4th. Ronald Braylon going to start in 5th with Will Moore in 6th place. Scott Matthews in 7th with Michael Peden in 8th. Kyle Ethier in 9th. Guillermo Oliveira in 10th. Scotty Lanning in 11th. And rounding out the field, our admin, Christopher Topping. So as I mentioned, 12-car grid. Hopefully that means we see a ton of green flag action here tonight, Zinn.
Yeah, I was remarking that to myself loading into the session that with so few cars, we'll see a lot of green flag running. Should get to see some green flag pit stops with that too.
Yeah, we had some green flag pit stops last week, which was a ton of fun. So hopefully we see them again this week. Throws a whole new aspect of strategy into the whole mix. But we got a championship battle underway here. Let's take a look while we're just waiting for the pace car to pull away here at how things are shaping up the championship side. Jordan Fisher leading the way, 109 points, just ahead of Xavier Regelbrug, Travis Everett, Evan Stewart, and Joseph Smith rounding out the top 5. Still close amongst those top 5 drivers. Basically anybody still with a chance. Only 17 points, sorry, separating 1st through 5th, and then a little ways back to Ronald Braylon. In 6th, we see Christopher Toppings, James Johnson, Michael Peden, Kyle Ethier, Scott Matthews, and Guillermo Oliveira all wrapped up very closely in that 6th place battle.
Yeah, Travis Everett's got to be sitting there saying thank you for the gift, because sitting there in 3rd place, but the 2 people in front of him are not here tonight. So good opportunity to make up a lot of points on those guys that he's chasing for the top of the standings.
Yeah, I don't believe they have any drop weeks either, so it's going to be every point matters here tonight's in. So good points all for all these drivers that aren't necessarily in the top 5 battle to potentially maybe get into that battle, as we have a little break coming up. We got 2 more weeks than a 2-week break for the holiday season, which is I guess American Thanksgiving, as we just had Canadian Thanksgiving here this past week. So we have our turkey in our bellies up here already.
Yep, drivers will race through, work off the sugar high from Halloween, but we're getting ready to go green here.
Here we go. Green flag goes. James Johnson leading the way. Brad Harris to his outside. James McRae tucked in behind them. And look at that. Looks like everybody got away clean. So we're going to get some green flag running in here early on.
Yeah, it looks like a few cars already slotting down to the bottom side, doing the traditional low in the corners, high against the wall on the back straight, as they work to get single file going into turn 3 for the first time.
Yeah, well done. Everybody getting single file early on. It's like Ronald Braylon trying to make some moves. You're up 1 spot already, going to the apron, trying to find the way around Brad Harris, but looks like he actually lost a bit of pace there as in dropping down to the apron. I know most of the tracks, you go to the apron, you pick up a little bit of pace, but I'm wondering maybe if the Chicagoland just doesn't work out that way.
I don't think it will be on the first few laps. Certainly not when you're still getting up to speed, I wouldn't think. But interesting strategy from Ronald there, and he's whatever time he lost, he's made right back up here as they're coming to the completion of lap 2.
Yeah, again, he's going to go to the apron. It looks like he's probably one of the only cars ducking down to the apron. Brad Harris up ahead. Looks like Brad going to try that top line. What a run through the mid-corner. Really shot up ahead of James McRae. Almost made the move up on the outside, but still a little bit of work left for Brad Harris to complete that move. Looks like he's finally gotten ahead of McRae. McRae fighting back, though, not ready to give up that position yet.
Yeah, Chicagoland's one of those tracks with fresh tires. You can hold that outside line and take those big runs that you get and be able to hold it on the outside like we saw there. And we see Braylon move to the high side to try and put the move on the 88, the car on the inside there.
Yeah, Braylon moving quick. Oh, Johnson going to come up, get into the door of Braylon, then have a little bit of a connection issue there and blink out. You never want to see that driver that's got that connection issue coming up in his in it. It'll lead to a Cole Brown moment, but thankfully both of them able to get through. James McRae, though, tucked in behind Braylon. But Braylon making a lot of moves early on here. I'm wondering if maybe he's using up too much tire here.
He could very well be. It's Chicago can be an abrasive track for tires, but the Next Gen has a tendency to be very forgiving on its tire wear. So kind of a battle of who's going to win, the chassis or the track.
Yeah, exactly. We got a battle a little farther back here. Kyle Ethier in the 8 machine, the AC Delco car, up top side of Will Moore in the 17. Ooh, a little bit of contact there as they come off turn 4. Will Moore is going to back out. That's going to allow Ethier to get going. He's got Scott Matthews up at him. He'll be next up on his list in the City Chevrolet. Throwback Days of Thunder paint scheme on that thing. I love it. Now all we need is one of those flow pink and white flow Cole Trickle machines out there. We can really relive the Days of Thunder.
Yeah, or get the yellow and blue Hardee's car out there.
And nobody wants to be a Russ Wheeler, though.
No, but everybody likes to bully the Russ Wheeler car, so.
The Russ Wheeler machine is the Red Bull livery of the left turn side of road racing.
or any F1 car, livery on an Indy car. Yes, exactly.
This battle continues on. Travis Everett, driver who we said could really take a nice points haul here and the potential to take the championship. Got himself mid back down 2 spots from where he started in. I wonder if maybe that's a strategy, save a little bit of rubber, thinking that maybe we're going to have a long green flag run. As I say that, the yellow comes out. Looks like Kyle Ethier lost the back end. We were just talking about how he was able to move around Will Moore. And
yeah, he was
Matthews,
moving up the field. Yeah, I don't know if there was some contact or just got a little overzealous on the steering input, so we'll have to go back and take a look at what happened. But oh wow, just had a massive twitch. Yeah, and the slightest of taps for his trebles on the outside wall. Shouldn't be too much aero damage there. He could probably come down and get that fixed under caution. But prior to that yellow coming out, we'll have a battle to keep an eye on between James and McRae and James Johnson. Those guys are running side by side for several laps.
Yeah, Jimmy versus Jimmy here. It's a battle for 4th and 5th. Johnson going to hold 4th place. He started on pole, down a couple spots already, so maybe looking to try and get himself back up towards the front. Be interesting to see if any of our drivers come in and get some tires here. They got 4 sets of tires, only 75 laps here this evening, so they should have plenty of rubber to get them to the end. You mentioned earlier that Chicagoland can be abrasive as far as tire wear, so I'm assuming most of the field's going to pop in here early to get some new Goodyears on them.
Yeah, if they've only got 75 laps, then I would definitely probably come down and take tires, especially with a small field. Figuring we're going to have long green flag runs, I'd want to take a few extra laps, fresh tires compared to my competition here.
Yeah, so it looks like majority of the field coming in. Yeah, just checked off. Kyle Ethier was the last car he comes into as well. So everyone's going to have new rubber on lap 10. Got caution on lap 9. We're on lap 10 now. Actually, says 120. I wonder if they increased it. I just had a look at the schedule earlier. It said it was only supposed to be 75 laps. So looks like there was an adjustment made on there. So 120 laps here tonight at Chicagoland. Well, we got a moment. Let's give a shout out to our channel sponsor, Apex Sim Racing. You find yourself a 5% discount code in the description of the video below. You can use the referral link, get yourself a discount, 5% off wheels, button boxes, wheelbases, seats, rigs. They even sell computers, basically anything to get yourself up and running in sim racing you can find there. And then again, cams provided to us tonight by Track Cams for Gourmet. Some nice NASCAR shots coming in this evening. So thank you to them too as well. So
Yeah, while we're under caution, just kind of a odd trivia track fact of the night for you. So Chicagoland's unique because it doesn't actually have a back straight. It actually has a back curve. So there is no actual straight portion of this track. It's basically one giant, huge oval.
yeah, it's funny you. I didn't even notice that until you mentioned it. Now, as you were saying, I'm looking at my track map. I'm like, yeah, it's actually a complete oval or oblong shaped track. So
Yeah.
they're bringing it back
So
and scrapping the Chicago street course. Was that by popular demand, or is it just that the agreement was contract was up for the street course?
from what I understand, the initial agreement was for 3 years. As usual with street circuits in highly populated urban areas, there's a lot of complaining that was going on and so forth with all the street closures and everything. So I don't know how much of it was public discontent with the event being around the July 4th holiday, or if it's just simply a basic thing of the contract expired and they're working on adjusting the date for it to come back in 2027. But all we know is 2026 they're going back to Joliet and Chicagoland, and the Chicago Street Circuit is on at least a 1 year hiatus. So see what happens after that.
Yeah, I love me a street circuit, but these wide left turn machines and street confines generally don't go that well together. It'd be interesting to see them go to another street circuit, like a true street circuit, like Detroit Belle Isle, just the bumpiness and see how they handle that. But I guess actually Chicago itself was fairly bumpy, but I guess they contoured over the years. But we're back green. Brad Harris going to start up front. And we got to actually give a shout out to Brad Harris and Chris Toppings, both of them running, I believe it is Delta Waterfowl Awareness paint schemes here tonight. So varying paint schemes on the two of them, both of them promoting that product. Chris wanted to give a nice shout out for that. So we'll see how they do. Christoph is going to follow back to the tail of the pack right now, trying to save his equipment. But Brad Harris, on the other hand, up front, battling with James Johnson, who James going to move himself back up into top spot where he qualifies in.
Yeah, James Jimmy Johnson has made his way back up to the front to reclaim that top spot. And on that restart, Guy Oliveira had a fast move to the outside. It looked like he got shot out of a cannon on it and took it 3 wide almost immediately, getting around the mid-pack cars that he was behind. He's cleared the pack of Jimmy McRae, Michael Peden, and Ronald Braylon behind him as they're fanning out, trying to make moves on each other.
Yeah, Oliveira had moved himself up to, I think it was second for that yellow last time. A little slower getting out of the pits, dropped himself back, but still up 6 spots from where he qualified right now in 4th place. So looking strong early on as we see James Johnson again with connection issue. See him falling up and down the field, but Brad Harris back out front. But look who's in second now is in Travis Everett, one of our top 5 drivers coming into the championship here. So doing what he needs to do to get up front, try and maximize his points all.
Yeah, exactly. Nights like this where you've got a lot of rivals in front of you that don't show up, you take calculated risks. And in this case, he's going to try and maximize the amount of points. And he's certainly got a race car that has the pace to back it up.
Yeah, you see the 2 different lines there by Harris and Everett heading through turn 2. Looks like some of the drivers favoring the top side through 4s in. It's a little bit of tire conservation there, not as much scrub up on the top end. Actually being able to carry a little more pace too as well. So interesting to see if the rest of the field starts to work their way to the top. But Chicagoland, a really wide track where you can run multiple grooves.
Yeah, it definitely has a multi-groove nature to it, but it also has a tendency to have some pinch points at the exit of especially turn 2. So I know when I've ran here, I've always favored running a high line to save tires. It doesn't do much when you have constant yellow flags, but usually, even in officials, you'll get long runs of green flag running. So saving those tires is definitely a key to success in tonight's race.
Okay, we'll see Guillaume Oliveira working his way back up now, just in behind that twosome up front. And so he's going to start to get a nice draft off the back of those two cars. We'll see if he's able to continue his charge forward. But up 7 spots, looks like Oliveira might be the man to watch here tonight, showing a ton of pace early on.
Well, and the two Jimmies have found themselves again, and they're battling. They're nose to tail at the moment, but they were side by side for several laps prior to this moment. So look for that battle to continue. Looks like Jimmy McRae's got a heck of a run coming out of 2 here. He's got to that back left fender. They're going to go side by side down the back straightaway if James ever blinks back in.
He almost blinked back into McRae's passenger side seat there.
Yeah, so, it is October spooky season, so I don't know if Racing Ghost was on their agenda tonight or not.
It might not have been, but it's happening out there. But interesting to see Ronald Braylon, a car that really shot towards the front early on. He's now kind of mid-pack right now is in. So I wonder if maybe he's trying to conserve a little tires, maybe realize that push forward early on, they had really used up the equipment that he had with a little brush to the wall, him and Scott Matthews, as they exited out of turn 3. So no damage really on, oh, actually looks like a little bit of damage on the right front of Braylon's car from that. So it's going to affect his aero a little bit.
Yeah, everybody will have been able to flip over in the black box and see what their tire wear was for those first 9 or 10 laps that they ran. So, they'll be addressing their strategy based on what they're seeing there. But could be a strategy call. It could just be, car prefers clean air, so he's trying to stay out of the pack and get some fresh air on the front nose of that Toyota.
Yeah, again, we see Braylon down on the apron. He's still one of the only drivers going down the apron and trying to utilize that. And again, looks like he lost a little bit of pace to Scott Matthews on the top side, who stayed up on the track. So I wonder how long Braylon's going to continue on with that strategy before he completely abandons it.
There's just some guys that they have their line that they run no matter what. And that certainly could be the case for Ronald tonight, running that apron. Just like guys will run the high line no matter what and just roll that speed as much as they can, as it appears the 7-0 Scott Matthews is trying to do as well, because he's got Kyle Ethier on his low side. We'll see if he can keep all 4 wheels under him running that bottom line.
Yeah, Ether came up and really pinched Matthews up against the wall. They're looking at Matthews, wanted to come down a little bit. We're going 3 wide, though, as Will Moore sticks it up on the bottom. Gets ahead, a little tap there of Ether. Ether almost got into Matthews, but thankfully they were all able to keep their cars under them. Otherwise, that might have been our second yellow of the race. But they're going to be able to continue on and keep battling. But Will Moore now still minus 2 spots where he qualified, but gets himself back up to 8th place.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of that pinch point I was talking about. You can run it 3 wide in the corner, but the exit seems to always track to the same point no matter what line you take going into the corner. So good job by all 3 of those guys to keep all the body panels uncrumpled and the cars out of the catch fence, and we carry on being green.
Let's pop back up, take a look and see what's going on at the front. As we got a 4-car battle now. Actually 5-car, James McRae there too as well. They've kind of separated themselves from that second pack. They got 2.2 seconds now between James McRae and Michael Peden. Peden, the lead car in that secondary pack. So a couple packs developing here is in. We'll see if they kind of just work together to pull away from the rest of that second pack, or if they really battle. It's going to be tough with Johnson still having those connection issues blinking in and out. But looks like he's trying to stay more to the top side. Probably knows that he's got that connection issue, trying to stay out of the way of everybody else. But meanwhile, put in as quick a lap as he can.
Yeah, and unfortunately with the way iRacing system is, Johnson probably has no idea that he's blinking unless they're on the radio or in Discord telling him so. So I was actually in a different league race last night, had that question asked, and somebody was trying to figure out if they were blinking, but realistically you're not going to see it on your end. You're only going to see other cars blinking around you. So as we see Brad Harris come to pit road for, I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I don't think he would need fuel yet. Interesting. We'll see if he...
not 26 laps in, no, he shouldn't.
We'll see if maybe it is a one of those real-life issues or not, if he pops back out, but we'll check in on him in a little bit. But that's going to leave Travis Everett up front with James McRae, James Johnson, and Guillaume Oliveira now making up our top pack. Everett up where he needs to be up front now. Johnson trying to chase him in. So that top line starting to come in a little bit as Johnson worked his way up from the 6th place position up into second now, using solely the top line.
Yeah, he would seem like he was being shuffled back just a few laps ago, and now it's like he's found super glue grip on the top side and is running down Travis Everett to challenge him for the lead.
Yeah, he's right there now on his tailpipe. So we'll see if these two battle or if they choose to work together to try and pull away. But James McRae right there too as well. James with the proper racing car driver profile picture, suit, helmet, and all. And man, I don't know if he can get all that hair under a helmet.
He's got the rock star hair going with the awesome livery on the car to match. So, yeah, it's the gap between Johnson and McRae almost covers the gap from McRae on back, but we'll see if he can get a sniff of the draft and be able to roll some speed through the corners while Travis and James ahead of him start battling.
Good shot there. You can see the separation between the two packs. James here, actually Guillermo Oliveira kind of falling off that lead pack. Saw him charge up front, and he's going to fall back here again. Mentioned it earlier on. Maybe used up his tires here.
Yeah, I thought that gap from McRae to Oliveira was a lot closer than it was, but he's put a grappling hook in the back of Johnson in front of him and just got yanked away from the cars behind him, opened up a huge gap from 3rd to 4th place.
Yeah, Oliveira dropped anchor, falling back in behind Peden and Ethier. Looking to close that gap, though. Kyle Ethier got himself up on Michael Peden's tailpipe now. Both those drivers up 3 spots from where they qualified, so shaped up to be a nice little race for them. Will Moore in behind, almost got himself back to where he qualified. Now only -1 on the day. Needs one more spot to get him back where he started. It's like Ronald Braylon in tow. Scotty Landing right there, too, as well. Nice to see Scotty not having any issues early on. Last couple weeks, see him getting wrapped up in, generally it's been other people's incidents, just kind of getting collected into as well. So looking good right now for him in 9th place. And then Scott Matthews a little farther back. It looks like we've lost our 2 admins, Chris Toppings and Brad Harris. So I wonder if there's some kind of issue on their end that they're trying to take care of league-wise. But we continue on up front. Travis Everett looking strong now, holding 3/10 over James Johnson.
Yeah, about 3/10 separating Everett from Johnson and Johnson from McRae, and then it's almost 2 seconds back to Oliveira in 4th. And then about another 1.2 seconds back to Michael Peden to round out your top 5. Behind them, though, there's another solid pack of cars all grouped together, led by Kyle Ethier. And he's got Will Moore and Ronald Braylon and Scotty Landing all chasing him down in a 4-car pack. So kind of 2 separate multi-car packs fighting for the lead and fighting for 6th, and then everybody else is kind of running in their own little bubble at the moment.
Now, last week, Stan and I kind of trashed the 2 Pepsi drivers here on stream. We wanted to give them black flags for sporting Pepsi liveries. That's Michael Peden and I believe Scotty Landing was the other Pepsi. Oh, as he almost gets into the back of Ronald Braylon. Looks like Braylon diving in. This could be potentially a green flag stop for him, but or no, looks like he completely missed pit entrance.
He's going to draw a penalty there.
Yeah, I'm hearing Scotty Landing on the radio, obviously not coming through on the broadcast, but looks like he last minute Braylon dropped down and right in front of him, Landing almost got into him. He had no idea he was bailing in. So
yeah, that almost looked like a carbon copy of the Austin Dillon William Byron incident in the real life NASCAR race this weekend. So looks like green flag pit stops coming in. They must be running a cap on fuel, I think, if these many guys are making green flag pit stops. So
yeah, I think they started last week capping it at 50%. So I wonder if they capped it even further this week. But yeah, green flag stops for pretty much everybody in the field. Looks like Brad Harris back out on track. So I'm not sure what his issue is, that what he was in the pits for, but he's back out on track. And maybe it was just a scheduled stop, 42 seconds in and out of the stall on pit road. So maybe just came in early, a little bit of a strategy call, but we'll have to keep an eye on that as the rest of the field's been in for their service too as well as in.
Yeah, and I would expect Braylon to have a penalty as well since he entered pit lane after the yellow cone. But so he might have a drive-through coming up. I don't see anything on timing and scoring, but we'll keep an eye on that situation as the field has been well and truly jumbled up at the moment with everybody on different strategies of coming to pit road.
Yeah, there comes our leader, Travis Everett, out of his stall. See where he picks back up as James McRae coming around on track now. It's going to be close to see if McRae, I think actually McRae is going to come out ahead of Everett. So 37.2 seconds cone to cone time for James McRae, 41.67 for Travis Everett. I wonder if McRae only took right side tires maybe.
Possibly, or no tires. Just gas and go, perhaps. Maybe thinking he might need those tires for later in the race for a late race restart.
True, with the added laps, 4 sets of tires, and the amount of attrition on the equipment here with tire wise, maybe you're right. Maybe he will need those tires later on, but he's going to come out comfortably in front, 4.3 seconds now ahead of Travis Everett, who's just moved around Brad Harris. So we'll see if he's able to maintain that gap up ahead. If he is still running on the old tires, and I suspect that Everett and Harris will be able to reel him in very quickly.
I would expect that as well. So this will be a true test to see if he did take tires or if it was a gas and go stop. But looking at last lap times, roughly about the same, 30.224 compared to a 30.199. So that transition, that fall off point from the tires may not be there yet. But if this continues being green for a lot longer, we might see that that crossover point happen.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, McRae looking comfortable out front. Everett's been able to pull away a little bit from Harris. Harris now under attack from James Johnson. We saw Johnson before that pit cycle really working the top side. Looks like he was trying the bottom side around Harris. We'll see if he goes back to the top side again this time. As it was really working well for him late in that runs in. There we see him right up on the top, almost against the wall, but still a little room there. Harris going to come out top. Oh, looks like Harris going to drop down on the apron, taking the Ronald Braylon line down the front straight.
Yeah, and you see Johnson on the high side being able to roll that speed through, but then it kind of equals out as they get into turn one.
On board here with Brad Harris as Johnson's gotten around him. Now we'll see if maybe Harris picks up a little something from the line Johnson's taking, finds a little extra pace.
Yeah, this is the closest battle on the track. We had those two multi-car packs before the pit stops, and they've been broken up with the green flag stops that we saw. So,
oh, we got our second yellow. Looks like Guillermo Oliveira has had an incident. See if we can catch up and find out what's happened to him. But looks like Oliveira into the pits, and I believe potentially out of the session. Let's see here, will put us under our second caution. So he was coming in for service here. Just came to a stop there. I wonder if maybe something happened beforehand, but that's where I'm seeing him flagged for crash. Let me see. Yeah, weird. I'm not sure why we're under yellow.
I'm surprised that I'm surprised that triggered a caution. Normally the car stopping below the yellow line doesn't trigger it on iRacing system.
Well, either way, we are under caution here for the second time.
Yeah, it sounds like they're talking on the radio, asking the question we had about the fuel level being so low.
Yeah, they might need more fuel stops than tire stops here by the end of this one's in.
Yeah, you would think on the surface 4 tires, 120 laps, it's 30 laps a tire, or 30 laps per tire change. So, but if they're not making 30 laps on fuel, then some of these stops definitely need to be gas and go only.
Keep an eye on James McRae. See if he takes 4 tires this time.
For some of these guys that just pit that we saw take tires like Travis Everett, it should just be gas and go, and it looks like what it is.
It looks like most of the field just gassing and going. So maybe James did take 4 tires last time, just had a little quicker
Very
stop
possible.
getting on and off for the pit road. So
yeah, some people just have that skill nailed down of being able to get to pit road from speed, and others are a little bit more timid, a little bit more cautious, so they don't get a speeding penalty, which is very easy to do in these cars. But it'd be interesting to see. I know I see it in official races, and I don't know if you have either, Rob, but for some of these guys at the back, like Chris Toppings or Scotty Lanning, to go out and come back in and top up the field just to be a little bit more topped up than the cars in front of them.
yeah, that'd be an interesting strategy. I'm not sure how much fuel they'd burn off on one pace lap, though. It looks like potentially Travis Everett, some of those drivers actually doing exactly what you just said there, Zen. As it looks like Everett and Brad Harris going to duck in, get another little splash here before we go green. So, see, I don't suspect they would get another full lap of green flag fuel out of that, but I guess if you're in the draft, you could save a little bit of fuel, but it's worth the strategy play here as we're not quite at the halfway mark.
Yeah, and with only 10 cars running, they're not going to drop so far back like you would in a Daytona 500 situation or something like that. So, it's, hey, why not try it? You still got, what have we got? 50 or no, 70 something, 76 laps to go.
We are on, which lap are we on here now? We're on lap 44 of 120, so yeah, 76 laps to go. Still plenty of time to try various strategies, but the lights are out on the pace car. We're going to get back under green, this time by James McRae, Jimmy Johnson up front. And then we got Kyle Ethier and Michael Peden. They were kind of leading that secondary pack as in Peden and Ethier, that is. See now that they're up front, they have some pace here for McRae and Johnson.
It's like as they're coming to green flag, everybody rolls away. Got some checkups in the inside line back there. Let's kind of stretch this field out real quick.
Yeah, I see a couple cars in the back. I'm wondering if maybe Harrison Raylan didn't quite get back up to the pack here from that stop. Might be detrimental to them, but James McRae, Kyle Ethier, and James Johnson going to get single file here early on. Oh, James Johnson losing it on the top side of 4. He's going to collect it up, or is he?
Oh no! Oh man, he almost had that saved. Oh, that was going to be an epic save if he could have held that.
And the car he hit was the driver I was saying earlier that I was happy for him that he'd been able to stay out of any of the wrecks. And unfortunately, I think I might have commentator cursed him, and he was involved in that one. So Scotty Lanning.
Yeah, Scotty.
I'm sorry.
Scotty, you can direct your complaints directly at Rob Campbell. His address is.
Let's see if we can take another look here at how that all transpired here. James Johnson tried to save it coming back on track, and unfortunately, Scotty Lanning nowhere to go on that one.
Yeah, it looked like he was just on the high side, and the back end started getting loose on him. I didn't really think cold tires were a thing in the next gen car. Certainly not on the tire model that I'm used to cold tires being an issue, but may have just had a little bit too much wheel into it. May have gotten a little bit high and just trying to keep it out of the wall and just crank down on the wheel. And poor Scotty Lanning gets his left rear taken off for his troubles.
That's what you get for running a Pepsi Max livery, Scotty. If you're in a Coke car, you would have been fine. It looks, he's struggling to get that thing back to pit road. I didn't think he would have had any suspension damage for that, but it looks like he was dog walking a little bit. But they do have one quick repair, so he's definitely going to need to take advantage of that. Hopefully he can stay out of trouble the rest of the race.
Scotty, you were targeted because you're a fan of Pepsi. That's all that was. It's unfortunate, but that's the life that we live as Pepsi drinkers.
We have far too many Pepsi product liveries in this race. We had two Pepsi and Pepsi Max, and then I believe there was a Dew car out there. I think it's actually James Johnson with the Mountain Dew machine. So he's in the pits, was damaged. So it serves him right for driving a Pepsi product livery too as well.
Michael P, and if something happens, you can direct your comments squarely at Rob. I am the Pepsi fan in the booth. That is not. You have my full support.
The way to victory lane is with Coke products, Coca-Cola products. That is. Sorry, I should specify that.
Look, regardless of the fact that Coca-Cola had the best delivery ever on the Porsche RSR, is not going to sway me from the fact that Pepsi is the better drinking soft drink.
But Coke also invented Santa Claus as we know him today, so that also makes them superior.
Yes, they do have the excellent Christmas commercials, and they make awesome die-cast holiday cars. I'm not refuting any of that, but I will still drink Pepsi. I love Coke, but I love drinking Pepsi.
Just imagine how much happier your taste buds would be with a Coca-Cola, though.
Oh, they're very happy when I can drink some Mexican Coke out of the glass bottle.
I think we get shafted here. There's a couple Mexican authentic Mexican cuisine places, which I like to frequent, get tacos every once in a while. And they claim that the Cokes they have in the bottles are Mexican. It says made in Mexico or product of Mexico on it, but you know what? It doesn't taste any different than the ones we have here. I wonder if I'm getting shafted somewhere.
Either that or we're getting shafted, because I can definitely tell a difference compared to American Coke, and the Mexican Coke is 100 times better. So if Canadian Coke tastes the same, then apparently I need to go sample the Canadian fare more often. Or at all. I've never been to Canada. I need to go.
Yeah, just don't come in the wintertime, that's all. Back to green, Kyle Ethier leading them away. Will Moore got himself up into second place. Michael Peden in fifth, and James McRae in fourth. We're down to about 8 cars now on the lead lap, with the attrition starting to set in. James Johnson, Scotty Lanning, and then Scott Matthews actually, looks like Scott Matthews is out there on track, but a lap down. So we'll see if we get another caution if they can get back on the lead lap. But right now, Kyle Ethier, we've seen him slowly working his way up through the fields in, but he's got himself out front now up into P1.
Yeah, he's come from an EOL penalty and worked his way all the way to the front. So you can literally say he's completed the back to front challenge in tonight's race. But I have to go back and look at that, or my eyes may have been deceiving me, because it looked like they went restarting in single file, but I didn't see anything in the race control box saying that they had switched it to a single file restart. So, but definitely a cleaner restart. Everybody got away seemingly fairly well. No checkups or slow reactions. And we've got 27 of Jimmy McRae chasing down the 17 of Will Moore for second place. And then we got Michael Peden chasing down Travis Everett for P4. So those are your two closest battles on track as we go green.
Yeah, coming up on the halfway mark as we see Peden looking to the bottom of Everett, almost gets up into his left quarter panel and had to back out. But as far as the single file start, yeah, that's something they started a few races back. If they have a caution, I think it's within 1 or 2 laps of just going back green, they start single file versus double file, just to try and eliminate having another quick caution again. So that's that was the reason for that. So there you go.
Yeah, it looks like Will Moore got loose last lap, and he's dropped a few spots down from where he was as he's getting passed by the 24 Michael Peden. Still seems like he's fighting that car a little bit. We'll see if he can settle into a rhythm now, but as he's on the high side looking to take the fight back again to Jimmy McRae there in front of him. Jimmy is going to run the low line and come up against the wall on the back curve. There's no back straight here at Chicagoland.
What if there's a little bit of contact between Everett and McRae? When McRae went by, Everett saw a little puff of smoke, and then McRae was down on the apron. So let's take a quick look here and see if we can see what happened there with McRae. Oh no, he just got the back end loose, a la James Johnson, but he was able to save it though. Thankfully, he didn't come back up on track. get into the driver ahead. So nice save by James McRae.
Yeah, seems like being low off of turn 4 is a trouble spot for these guys tonight. So as the race goes on and works their way towards the 120 lap mark, we'll probably see folks trying to avoid running low out of 4 and on worn tires and trying to eliminate having that be an issue. But yeah, it looks like a tight pack from second on back to 7th. Everybody's about 2 to 3 tenths from the guy in front of them. I've seen 24 of Michael Peden stay on that high side, try and roll speed through the exit 4, get a little kiss on the wall there as he goes by, slots back down and get the draft as he heads back into turn 1.
Yeah, a couple sparks between friends on the wall isn't nothing, right? So Michael Peden just kind of taking a little bit of that wrap off, taking about 0.0001 of a gram off the weight of that car, as in any little any little weight savings helps. But while they battle, Kyle Ethier opened himself up a nice 2-second gap up front. He's got it basically on cruise control right now, a driver who definitely doesn't want to see another yellow come out to the end of this race.
No, definitely not. I think this is the biggest lead we've seen out of anybody tonight, right? Certainly looks that way. And he's just cruising away in that Dale Jr. AC Delco livery there with Travis Everett fighting off the pack of cars behind him. So while they battle, Kyle's saying, "Thank you very much. I'm going to sail off into the distance."
Yeah, looks like a tight battle here between Pede and McRae. McRae trying to hold the bottom line, but keeps sliding up top, the old slide job up into Pede. Pede not much room to go up against the wall. Can't really go any farther right, but McRae gonna try and make him work for it the best he can. A lot more track to work with for McRae.
Yeah, every oval racer knows that every time you brush the wall, you move it back just that every little bit, which gives you more room to track out. So, he's not shaving weight; he's just making more room for himself on exit 4 there. So, but yeah, it's nice to see a track with multiple grooves possible for these guys, and see them explore it throughout the life of the tire run, and cars behind figure out what lane works best for them with the draft and everything. And the low line, it's really great when you got fresh tires, but as the tire starts to wear in and wear off, you're going to see cars really slide up towards that wall, and these drivers are going to fight to keep it out of the wall.
Absolutely. See, as you mentioned, it looks like Will Moore, a little brush to the wall there. I was going to make mention, there's so much width between the two cars, McRae and Pede, in basically every corner they take, but McRae stayed a little bit off the bottom there. You can fit another possibly 3 cars in between them in the corners there's in. I never actually realized how wide the corners are here at Chicagoland. It gives you a ton of racing room.
Yeah, it's why it was one of my favorites to run in IndyCar, because you really were able to run 3 wide in IndyCar there. But, we've seen 3 wide action tonight once or twice already. We'll see as the pack has this ebb and flow to it if we get more guys involved, and especially this battle between Peden and McRae, if they'll try the 3 wide attempt again, or if later on you have a guy that's on fresh tires and is trying to get around the guys in front that are on worn tires, maybe get back on the lead lap or a situation like that. Might try and make a move through the middle.
So, trying to think, I think we've gone, we're on lap 44 was our last yellow, so we're coming up on 20 laps. I think if I remember correctly, what I heard them say over the radio, that one caution is they go maybe 26 laps, I think it was. I don't know if you heard that, Steve.
Yeah, 25, 26, something like that.
Should be getting close to some more green flag stops here if he continues on this way. Pop back here, have a look at Ronald Braylon. He's trying to chase down Brad Harris up ahead. Harris, driver we saw battling up front, popped in for a little bit of splash of fuel before that last screen. He and Travis Everett both did that, so A little bit extra fuel for him, but it looks like, there we go. Looks like Ron Umbrella going to be, oh, I thought he was going to be the first driver coming in for a green flag stop here, but he fakes me out, dummied me on that one.
And he had issues the last time we had a green flag, so maybe he's just getting out of traffic and getting his sighting in place to figure out where he needs to come down off of turn 4 and get on the pit road cleanly this time.
It's possible, but look here up front. Travis Everett has chased down Kyle Ethier. He's caught him fairly quickly. It looks like he's going to move all the way down to the bottom side. So I'm wondering if maybe a little bit of strategy here from Kyle Ethier. I wonder if he's getting ready to come in for a green flag stop. We know Everett popped in for that little extra splash of fuel, so potentially maybe one lap more fuel load for Travis Everett.
Yeah, and I don't remember if Kyle Ethier is one of those that took tires during the last full caution that we had. So this could be where we're seeing the difference of worn tires versus newer tires. But yeah, Travis Everett's been running about 2 to 3 tenths a lap faster for several laps, and now that they're battling, they're running about equal. But yeah, that gap that was 2 seconds is down to about 200ths now.
Yeah, if even that. Nose to nose as they head out of turn 4, down the front straight they go. Looks like Everett unable to make that pass stick. So you're going to swap lines here. Either going to try the bottom. Oh, he goes back up to the top. I thought maybe he was going to try the bottom this time and force Everett down to, or up to the top. But see, both drivers going to come around the top. This time by, I suspect only maybe one more lap or so before we see Ether come in. I think I just heard on the radio 17 pitting in. So Will Moore, I suspect he's going to be coming in for a green flag stop here as he's down to the bottom of the track, gets himself on the apron. Oh, and he's going to miss his brake mark. Oh, he can get it slowed down before he hits the line. I think he should be okay there, but almost, pit stop almost went sideways literally for Will Moore.
Those crew guys were about to have to do a lot more work than just tires and fuel there. But keeps it out of the wall, picks up a 1X, but more importantly, the race stays green, didn't bring out a caution.
Absolutely. So Will Moore pit on lap 42, which is the same lap that Kyle Ethier pit on. So I suspect Ethier maybe only one more lap or so of fuel. Travis Everett pit on lap 46, so a little bit of extra fuel savings there for him. You see here, Ethier's going to want to try and get himself down to the bottom. You don't want to cross over in front of Everett and get down to the apron.
Yeah, and I just heard Michael Peden, who also pit on the same lap as Kyle Ethier, just call out that he was going into the pit. So looks like we see Kyle Ethier coming down pit road as well. So so what is that? About 40? No. I can do math. 23 laps.
Yeah, we went back green at lap 47. So yeah, 23 laps. I guess we were right about 24 laps or so with fuel load. So we should suspect to see Travis Everett here in another lap or two. And then the strategy will really start to come into play here, Zane. If somebody tries to go another run on the same tires, or if they're going to elect to get new rubber.
Yeah, I think they're just gambling at this point. If trying to figure out if the odds are more in favor of the race staying green to the end, or somebody losing it potentially on cold tires like we saw on the restart, or then bring out a caution and then do tire change them. But yeah, we'd expect Travis Everett down in maybe a lap or two. But while we're going through this green flag pit cycle again, it's going to stretch the field all the way back out.
Yeah, Everett, McRae, and Harris was our last driver that was on the 46th lap, or stopped on lap 46, but Harris now in for his service. So now we're just waiting for McRae in Everett. McRae now about 3 seconds back of Everett. Really lost a bunch of time as he was broiled in that battle with Ethier. Or not Ethier, who was he battling with? Will Moore. Lost a bunch of time with him. We see McRae coming down to the apron. He's going to come into as well. Everett already in the pit lane up ahead. So we'll see where they cycle back through. We'll keep our eye on Kyle Ethier, who is on track now. Ethier just heading past the start-finish line to get his lap back that he lost through the pit cycle. So we'll see where he pops back out and see where Travis Everett and James McRae cycle through. So Ether down the back stretch. Looks like McRae and Everett still in their stalls right now. They should be exiting shortly. Everett out. Back up on the track for him. Here comes Ether now. Ether's going to have a full head of steam. He's going to take over top spot. So it looks like that pitting early, which we call an undercut on the road racing side, working out for Kyle Ether here this evening on the green flag stops. So Will Moore, the biggest winner in this one. He's got himself up into third. James McRae is going to fall back down to fourth. McRae actually one of the slowest stops, 43.43 seconds. Will Moore 36.82. So I wonder if Will Moore didn't take any tires. Maybe he's running that second stint on these new tires, or well, I guess they were new the previous pit stop that he had.
Yeah, if I'm seeing this right, it's showing Will Moore only had a time in the box of about 8.2 seconds compared to 14 or 15 seconds for everybody else. So, talking about that gambling earlier, potentially Will Moore is doing that with the tires. Unfortunately, iRacing is a sim where you can't see live tire wear. You won't get that update until you actually get to the box, so it's hard to know until you stop whether or not you should change tires based on your tire wear. And with NASCAR and IndyCar and those sorts of series where tires and fuel happen at the same time, with multiple crew guys over the wall, it's really hard to be like, okay, I'm going to uncheck or check the tires depending on what you need, and be able to save time.
Yeah, you're right. I wish that on the NASCAR side that iRacing gave us when they change tires. As you can see on the road side, if you change compounds, it'll show you that driver changed from, say, IndyCar, for instance. They changed from alternates to the primaries. And then say you change from wet tires to dry tires, you get that information from iRacing. But I wonder why they don't give us the information that a driver changed 2 tires or 4 tires on the NASCAR side. It'd be really handy because we can't actually see the pit crew coming out and whether they're changing all 4 tires or not.
Yeah, it's something that would be nice to have, because even on the third-party overlays like RaceLab or iOverlay or something to that effect, you just have the number of laps on that stint, as we call it on the road side, but it doesn't tell you if somebody's double stinting on their tires or actually changed all of the tires or what. It's really just effectively laps since they came into the pit for whatever reason. So it's not even really informative in that regard either. So fortunately, it's not something that's fixed by a third-party app that iRacing has overlooked or doesn't have the functionality to do yet.
Yeah, please, iRacing, give us animated crews for spectating sessions too as well. And
yeah, not only on the road side, but
side.
just yeah, in the replay and broadcast functionalities too. It would certainly add a nice dynamic to audiences watching all the special events that iRacing put on, as well as league events like we're doing.
Exactly. Bring my simulation 100%, please, iRacing.
Yeah. At least if nothing else, do it for the spectator. But I've been hearing some things through the grapevine about what's coming in the next couple of seasons on iRacing, and it's a lot to be excited for. So we'll see how much pans out. As the running joke in iRacing is, it's always #soon. So we'll see what comes to fruition. But as we see James McRae on the pits, is this going to be a case of smacking the wall, or just hardware failure maybe?
Not sure what happened to him. Looks like the car just went due left off the course. Oh,
and stayed going left.
yeah, that was weird. It almost looked like. Let's see if we take another look here from. See if we can get the blimp cam out and see. It looked like, as you mentioned, potential hardware issue. It's coming off. Doesn't look like he loses the back end. The car just kind of starts turning left. This continues on left. Doesn't look like he's on the brakes at all either.
Yeah. Maybe his screen went black and he didn't know where he was on the track and just kept turning it left.
It's
Maybe
possible.
screen stutter and freeze, and he was like, I don't know where I am, so I'm just going to keep turning it left.
Or it could be a VR user too as well, and everything went black. And worst case
Yeah.
scenario, just turn left in a left turn race and eventually hit a wall on the inside somewhere, right?
I mean, on a track that doesn't ever go straight, it's a fairly good guess. You just hope you're in the right spot for the degree of left you're turning there. But yeah, there was a couple people in the Apex League race last night, the GT4s that we were in, that had screens go black all of a sudden. So, sort of a coinkadink. Not saying it's an iRacing issue, but when you see it from more than one person across more than one session, you start to wonder.
It's, ooh, we see Will Moore hard into the wall there. That's going to narrow up his 17 DeWalt machine a little bit. But now that you mentioned it, there's a couple people in the league broadcast that we did last night as well, VR users that I saw in the chat later on that they were having some issues. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it probably is an iRacing VR issue right now that's causing some issues.
Well, it is worthwhile to mention that when you log into the iRacing UI, there's a big orange notice that there's a patch or a hotfix coming tomorrow. So have to wonder if it's in part related to those issues.
I imagine all the VR users are definitely hoping for that. I'll have to check and see if they post the notes either later on tonight or early tomorrow morning. But we've got, what do we got? About 35 laps to go. So we're getting close to the final pit stop necessary in this race. And we've seen a couple stops under green so far. If we continue green, we should see another set of stops coming up. Now, just having a look, the last car that hit was Everett on lap 72. We know they can go about 24 laps. So that would put him about lap 96. That would put him actually smack dab in the window. The rest of these guys might have to come in for a little splash before the checker flag if it goes green the rest of the way.
Yeah, if they can do 24 max, that puts them the window opening, barring any green-white checker, of about 96, lap 96. So, looking at our earliest pitters from last cycle, Will Moore and Chris Toppings, they would be at 91 is the most that they could do. So they're about 5 laps short of that final window. So some of these guys, potentially all these guys, except for Travis Everett and Brad Harris, may potentially need that splash at the end for the last 3 to 5 laps or so.
Yeah, so that was we'll give you the bonus check mark or apple for this evening there, Zane. You mentioned that strategy early on. If you're a little farther back in the pack, might be worth popping back in for a little splash of fuel before we go back green. And Harris and Everett were, I believe, our only two drivers that took advantage of that. And it looks like now this is an if we go green the rest of the way, they're going to benefit from that.
Certainly seems that way with the rudimentary math that we're doing up here in the booth. But, and of course, like you said, this is all contingent on them staying green. But so far, so good on that front. Knock on wood, we didn't commentate or curse that. But yeah, we've got Kyle Ethier and Travis Everett that are battling. And the only other close battle on the track that I'm seeing is between Michael Peden and Ronald Brayland. Everybody else is kind of spread out and doing their own thing at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of space for the drivers to race right now, but looks like Brad Harris starting to creep up on that lead battle here, as in now only 1.8 seconds back. Harris, as we mentioned, him and Everett potentially the only two drivers that can go to the end on one more green flag stop. So wondering maybe Everett been tucked in behind Ether here a couple laps. Maybe he realizes that only he and Harris can get to the end on one more stop. If he can save a little bit of fuel, he might be able to beat Harris off pit road and secure that top spot for him.
Yeah, if I'm Travis Everett, I'm utilizing that draft off of Kyle Ethier. I'm not going to force the issue one way or the other. If he makes a slip up in front, I might look at making a move, but otherwise I'm just going to stay tucked up right behind that number 8 machine and save as much fuel as I can to shorten up that final stop.
Absolutely. Now I'm having a look here. I think you mentioned it last pit stop cycle that I think with Scott Matthews, 8.58 seconds in the stall. I think that's all that was required to get enough fuel to fill the 50% fuel. I think it's 50% anyways, fuel load that they're allowed to carry. So that's some nice savings for Travis Everett if he only needs to go in and get that splash of fuel and get back out versus some of these other drivers that may need a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and if you're Kyle Ethier, you might look at maybe playing some mind games and make a mistake, quote unquote, and let Travis go by and then sit behind him and use the draft and for the same effect. But you know, any little bit of time that you can save on pit road, as it looks like Michael Peden and Chris Toppings are in the pits. Maybe they're recognizing that they're not going to make it to the end and are just trying to get the pit stop out of the way as early as they can and hope for maybe a late race caution to make up the difference. But we'll see how those strategies come out. Look like Chris Toppings did a full 4-tire stop in fuel. Looks like Michael Peden is as well, and Ronald Braylon is in the pits now as well.
Yeah, I think they were at the tail end of their 24-lap run. Those were the drivers we saw come in on, I think it was lap 67, 68, I think it was. So they're about 4 or 5 laps less fuel on their, or sorry, 4 or 5 laps longer on their fuel run than our leaders here. But as you mentioned, Ethier probably, he's about, by my calculations, about 2 laps shy of Everett and Harris. So I think you're probably right. He would have been benefited to let Everett by and try and save a little fuel in his draft. But I say he was more content to stay out front, but that may cost him a chance at a win here at the end.
Yeah, I just heard Kyle Ethier come over the radio, so you might be saying that he's coming to the pits as he almost washes up and collects the 13 there.
Ethier loses it on pit road. That's going to add insult to injury there. So unfortunate. After a strong race, that's going to drop him back a number of spots.
Yeah, he looked kind of out of shape coming to preparing that pit entry there. It looked like he kind of washed up the track and almost got into the side of the 13 car there. So not the ideal approach that he wanted to have taken there, especially for potentially a final stop. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty, but given the way he had that thing locked down trying to save it, I suspect he might end up with a black flag at the end of this as well.
Yeah, he came in pretty hot there, but Brad Harris in too as well now for his final stop with 24 laps to go. So we know he should be able to make it to the end. And then Travis Everett, we know for sure that Travis will be able to make it to the end with his full fuel load. So it looks like it's going to come down to a battle between Harris and Everett. See who has the quicker pace. Now, we know Everett going to need maybe a half a second or so less fuel than Harris to get himself to the finish line. So it looks like he's bailed out, getting slowed down to come up for his green flag stop. Actually, he's on the backstretch. Sounded like he's coasting. I wonder if he's out of fuel here, Zin. Oh, he's coasting.
It's hard to tell without a speedometer. Yeah, he might have pushed that to the very end, to the very limit to get that 1 extra or 2 extra laps over Brad Harris. But he's in. We'll see if he can make it to his box, and if he's lost too much time to Brad Harris. Looks like everybody did a full service pit stop. Oh, what luck just fell Travis Everett's way.
Ronald Braylon.
And by luck, I mean terrible luck.
Ronald Braylon has brought out our latest yellow flag. Let's see here. Oh, it happened. Oh, battling with Peden. Oh, he gets down the apron, loses it. Nice job keeping it out of the wall.
And since flat spots are not a thing on iRacing, those tires are in perfect shape.
Man, there are some racers that are in trouble if iRacing ever bring... Oh, they lose it. Get going again. If iRacing ever brings flat spots onto the service. So,
well, it looks like because Brad Harris was a lap down when Travis came into the pits, and so Brad going around, he retains the lead. So that may have actually worked out in Travis's favor with his battle over Brad Harris, because he's got it's like Will Moore in the 17 lining up behind him.
Yeah, I think
But
Harris had just passed the start-finish line before the yellow came out, so he didn't have a chance to go around to pick back up Everett.
Yeah, so, but for all those guys that were going to be a couple laps short, this was, I think this just made up that difference. So, for sure, you have to sit there and say that Everett and Harris have enough to go way beyond the finish now, but see a few cars come down just to top up, just in the event that they didn't have enough or anticipation of a green-white checker. But
Yes.
just listening on the radio, it sounded like Travis was saying that he was sputtering coming down on pit road, so he pushed that as far as he could.
Yeah, I thought I heard him lifting and coasting on the backstretch, so interesting to see Brad Harris came in and got a little splash of fuel there. He pit the lap before Everett, so I thought with the yellow flag laps here, he probably could have easily made it to the end, but I guess he wants to make sure that he can get there on fuel with no issues and be able to really push the envelope against Everett. As I suspect, though, Everett should have enough to get himself to the end too, but maybe not able to push as hard as he'd want to, where Harris can go basically worry-free that he can get to the line.
Yeah, so with Everett pitting on lap 98 and 24 laps is the most they can run, that pushes him to lap 122, and so you sit there and say maybe that's enough to cover a green-white checker, especially saving fuel under the pace laps here. But Brad Harris and others are not taking the chance at all.
You know what? You just threw out that tidbit that I completely forgot all about, green-white checker. I believe we have one opportunity at a green-white checker, so I think you nailed it there at Travis Everett. I think with the couple yellow laps here, you should have enough fuel saved to do a green-white checker run, but we'll have to keep an eye on it.
And checking here. They have there are 2 green-white checkers listed according to the session details. So if we get one more caution, I suspect there will be a lot of people that will be.
Yeah. Why?
Did everybody just get waved around the pace car?
I think so. Yeah. Not sure what's going on here, but yeah, it looks like the entire field getting the wave around the pace car. I'm not sure what the point of that was, but
I wonder if with Travis being in the pits and having to hold up to wait for the pace car to pass him, if it jumbled up the standing somehow.
Maybe.
But yeah, it looks like Chris Topping was in the admin race control chat has extended the caution by 1 lap, so it's now 2 laps to green.
Oh. All right. Well, we were on lap 103 of 120. Our leader is still Travis Everett after that extra lap around the pace car. Had 4 cautions for 12 laps, which is equated us to about 8 lead changes. Looks like Scott Matthews is getting the lucky dog as he's going around the pace car again for another lap. So lights are out on the pace car. We're going to go back racing on lap 104. So that's going to give us about 17 laps left, and this one's in. Predictions for what we might see coming up here.
Well, I would expect Kyle Ethier to be aggressive, try and get back to the point here as quick as possible. Brad Harris looks like he'll be restarting back in the 4th spot, if I'm reading this right. So looks like they're restarting single file. We know he's got the pace to keep up with Travis Everett, but based on the race as a whole, I would expect this to be a battle between Everett and Ethier. We'll see how it shakes out.
All right, we're back green. Travis Everett can lead them away. Ethier in tow. Peden and Harris not too far back either. We know Harris comfortable in his fuel load, although he's got maybe a gallon or two more than Everett up ahead. Shouldn't affect him a whole lot in the draft. He's going underside of Michael Peden early on, but Travis Everett's the guy he wants to catch. Everett would like to keep everybody behind him as he's on board to catch a nice points haul here as a Regelbrug, Fisher, Smith, and a couple other drivers here up in the top 5, not here this evening.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been a good night for him so far. I'm sure he'll be looking to put this one into the books with that good result and really make up ground on the guys ahead of him in the standings. But looks like Everett has a little tap of the wall there on the exit of 2. Doesn't look like it did much on the bodywork on that right rear. But as I suspected, it's the Everett and Ethier show. They've got a second gap over Brad Harris, who's worked his way up to P3 after the restart.
Yeah, Harris finally making his way around Peden, but Peden not really ready to let that go. The longer they battle, that's going to allow Ethier and Everett to pull away every so much more. They got Will Moore lurking behind too as well, but Peden and Harris still going at it. I think they might be better served here, as in if the two of them can really link up and work together to try and chase back in those two leaders up ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's still got quite a few laps on the board. You know, they've still got time to fight it out amongst themselves as that's what they want, but definitely would be served to spend the next 8 or 10 laps or so linking nose to bumper and see if they can push their way up and make that 2-car fight for the lead, a 4-car battle.
Yeah, 14 laps to go. You think we'll see a green-white checker here tonight?
I don't know. You know, there's been some funky cautions so far tonight, so anything can happen. But you certainly want this to be duked out on the track. Ideally, to see who's got the best stint left in their tires, and you know, maybe even who's got the best fuel strategy as well. So we know that Everett came in, he didn't top up during that last caution. Versus Ethier is 3 laps shorter than him on fuel, so this could be a fuel mileage race, could be a tire management race. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Ethier really sent it into turn 3 the lap before here. Almost got into the back of Everett, really had to hold on getting back in the throttle. It's cost him a bunch of time. Everett up front, that's actually allowed Brad Harris to close in that gap. So it looks like Harris going to make it a 3-car battle here shortly, Zin. So it'll be interesting to see if we get all 3 cars battling together, who could prevail. Again, we know if it goes to green-white checker, Harris comfortable on fuel. Ethier and Everett might be a little twitchy behind the wheel.
Yeah. You know, Everett or Harris was one of those that came down and topped up a second time on the pits, along with Peden and Moore and Chris Toppings. But with Brad Harris getting out ahead and dropping Peden and Moore back into their own battle, that's allowed him to fully focus forward on Everett and Ethier in front of him. And he's really closing that gap down. It was about a second. Now it's down under 0.6.
Yeah, we got a battle here between Pede and Moore. And, I'm sorry, Chris Toppings a little farther back. Pede and Moore battling it out. We get the lap car of Braylon in there, too, as well. But Will Moore and Michael Peden battling it for 4th. But the battle starting to get a little spicy up front, Zin, as Brad Harris is now there, right on the back of Kyle Ethier. 9 laps to go. Pick a driver here, Zin.
I got to go with Everett. He's been in control most of the race. I think he's been able to really manage those tires well, and he'll be able to hold off an attack from Kyle Ethier that if he can get back up there, I think he'll do it with about 3 to go.
As a Chevy guy myself, I think I'm going to have to go with one of the 2 Chevy drivers in behind Everett. And you know what? Brad Harris has looked quick. He's been up and down the field. I'm going to put my money on him coming from 3rd to the front as he goes low on Ethier now. Really closes that gap. Looks like he really wants it, and we know he has enough fuel.
Yeah, I gotta wonder what Kyle Ethier's thinking about right now, looking at his field numbers and looking at the gap in front of him getting bigger and the gap behind him getting smaller. I'm sure he would much rather be on the back bumper of that number 13 Ford Mustang in front of him. But as it stands, he's got the number 9 car behind him that he's got to worry about. And if you're Brad Harris, you're sitting there saying, I don't want a lengthy battle because all that's going to do is cause us to lose time to Travis Everett.
Yeah, it looks like that's actually happening right now wherever it's opened up. 3/10 over Ether, and looks like it continues almost every corner, or eking out another half a tenth. So it looks like Everett right now sitting comfortable up front. It's going to be 5 to go next time by. They head into turn 3 now. You see Ether drop down to the bottom and Harris running the high side. But the man on the mission right now, Travis Everett, down on the apron, taking the Ronald Braylon line across the front stretch. He's going to open that gap now up to 8/10. Looks like it's going to be his race to lose at this point.
Yeah, it looks like he's really enjoying that high line and just rolling tons of speed into 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And, Ethier and Harris are taking the more traditional low line through those corners and just losing time, especially now that they're going to start battling here.
Oh, pardon me. Had a cough sneak up on me, but yeah, Harris looking to the bottom side, and Everett loving this in his rear mirror. 4 laps to go, 3 to go next time by. Into turn 3 and 4 they go. Harris, can he finally make the move on Ethier? Ethier fighting back, but I think this might be it. I think this might be where Harris finally gets that spot. He's going to use the apron. Peden going to try and stay up high. Get a little more speed up on the top side, but I think Brad Harris has it. Like, unfortunately for Brad, he's going to be running out of time to try and chase down Travis Everett up ahead. So the driver who'd love to see a caution right now, Brad Harris. The driver who doesn't want to see the caution, Travis Everett.
Yeah, and Ethier is not ready to give that spot up as we see him fight back on the low side going into turn 3 here. Got that crossover done, exited turn 2, and set that up back at the beginning of the back quote-unquote straightaway. But I think Harris's newer tires have finally prevailed and allowed him to finally get that move done and be able to pull away a little bit now with about a 4/10 gap between second and third here.
Yeah, down the back, not so straight. They go into turn 3. Travis Everett leading the way. 1 to go this time by. Barring any issue, looks like this is Travis Everett's race to win. A little further back, Will Moore and Michael Peden still battling it out. Peden holding on to 4th place right now. Looks like he's going to be able to hold off that charge by Will Moore. A nice race by both of those drivers. Top 5 finishes are nothing to really cry about, I'm going to take and say. That's not the word I was looking for, but either way, it's a nice finish. Will Moore going to try and take that spot away from Peden, but meanwhile, up front, Travis Everett leading the way. Brad Harris now comfortably ahead of Ethier. Looks like Ethier, as you mentioned, his tires giving up as he's rubbing the wall through the final corner, but Travis Everett takes the win here. Week 4 at Chicagoland.
Yeah, overall, really, really exciting race. A lot of great racing. Love the multi-groove action that we saw, the crossovers and the tire wear play out on who was on the fresh tires and who was trying to make them last with double stint, and really, really good race up and down the field.
Yeah, it's, you know what? I love the tracks where you have multi-grooves where you don't necessarily have to run either the top or either the bottom. And I haven't raced at Chicagoland before, but I think it's probably one of my new favorite tracks now after seeing the ability to run basically any line you wanted around here, Zen.
Yeah, I hope a lot of the guys that may have been on the fence of coming out and racing tonight will watch this and go, man, I missed a really great night of racing.
There we are, our winner, Travis Everett, burning off what's left of his good years, showing us that he had more than enough fuel, I guess, to go for a potential green-white checkered as he's running down almost into turn 4. He's not going to have much rubber left, but congrats to Travis Everett. We'll give him a minute, see if he pops into the booth, but Let's take a look at our official results here for week number 4. Travis Everett taking top spot. Brad Harris going to come home in second, 2.1 seconds back. Cal Ether in third. Michael Peden in fourth. Will Moore going to round out our top 5. Christopher Toppings in sixth. Ronald Brelin, first car lap down in seventh. Scott Matthews, James McRae, James Johnson, Scotty Lanning, and Guillermo Oliveira make up our used car parking lot in the back. So if you're looking to pick yourself up a Next Gen race machine, slightly used, you'll see any one of those drivers. They'll give you a excellent deal on a secondhand, lightly used model. So just having a look here. Next week we head to Watkins Glen. So road course racing next week, as in, you a fan of taking the NASCAR machinery on road courses?
Oh, I am, now that we have the proper NASCAR track limits at Watkins Glen. That's going to be a great week. So I urge anybody that's watching this that may be on the fence of coming out next week, please come out, because it's so much fun to huck this car into turn 1 and run all the way out to the wall. There's no X's, no off tracks, no slow down penalties, no nothing anymore. And if it's paved, you can use it, just like they do in real life. And the real life NASCAR race at Watkins is always a great race to watch. So I'm excited for next week. Really looking forward to it, especially with this refresh that they did this season.
Now, when they did the refresh on Watkins, did they put in the, because I know they have alternate curbs for in the bus stop. So does iRacing have that now too as well? The NASCAR curbing for the bus stop, and then they, if you run a non-NASCAR curbing session, it doesn't have those in there?
That is correct.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, I'm really looking forward to next week now. Some NASCAR on road. So it looks like Travis Everett not going to join us in the booth. For we will sign off for this evening. So thanks again for tuning in. Again, we'll catch you next week for some Watkins Glen action in the road course machines. For Brian Zinn, I'm Rob Campbell. This is Racer Nexus. We'll catch you next week. Bye for now.
Good night.